I love to show the applique process, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Is I'm going to show you how to put together a couple of our pre-cuts, one from our greatest gift and the other one from Hat on a Cat. And so the first one actually is the little elephant. Now, when you get one of our pre-cuts, you're going to see there are a lot of pieces. And one of the things that we try to do is we try to provide them, like if all the pieces that are maybe cut out of the same fabric will be all together like this. And that is intentional because we learned early on that we had less loss of pieces when we put these together. But once you get the laser pre-cut, first of all, they're going to be fused with a fusible bonding. We use Heat and Bond Light. So every piece that we put into our laser machine is bonded with a Heat and Bond Light. So it's meant to be stitched. If you're not going to stitch it, then I wouldn't recommend like washing it or using it a lot because it doesn't have a heavy adhesive. So anyway, once you get all your pieces, and I'll turn the back over, you can see there's like a white paper on there. You're going to take that backing paper off of your fusible. And so basically all you have to do is just like bend a corner. Okay, and I recommend that you take this backing paper off before you clip all your pieces apart. Reason being, it's just so much easier to pull this off when all of these pieces are together. So I'm going to pull this all apart. Just be kind of careful as you do it. Set that aside. Now, you're going to want to clip these pieces apart. I use just a little sewing scissors to do that. We put these pieces together with what we call a tick mark. And that tick mark just keeps them from flying all over the place. Now, one of the things you're going to see is it's maybe going to be a little hard to tell where these pieces, what they're supposed to be for. But that's why you're going to want to have your color photo next to you when you assemble this. So I'm going to get these all taken apart. Now, as I was getting ready for this, to do this today, I was trying to find all my little eye pieces, and I realized that I had thrown away my little blue piece that had my little center eye pieces in it. And so I highly recommend that before you get rid of your scraps, leave them in a pile and leave them close by, because I think a lot of pieces probably get thrown away because they don't realize that they're still in that fabric. So keep those scraps until you've got that applique completely put away. One of my favorite tools in my studio is my silicone mat. And I'm going to show you the process of how I put these appliques together on this silicone mat. It will make your life so much easier, and you're going to want to do more fusible applique. So I have my, my silicone mat. And with the Our Greatest Gift appliques, we show a little kind of a pieced, it looks like it's a pieced block behind the critter, behind the animal. It's actually applique, and I'm going to show you how we do that and how we create that look. Right now, I'm going to show you this little elephant. Now, the elephant is actually a little larger than this block, and so your instructions will tell you where you can cut that off, or some people like to have a few of the pieces kind of hang over the edges of your borders. So that's up to you as far as how creative you want to get with that. This is actually a picture of the layout of the blocks. Now, I know that just shows black and white. And what you're going to get is you're going to get a color photo in the pattern as well. So this shows the color photo. I know that this little navy blue block goes down first. Now, what I like to do is I just tack it with the tip of my iron. The reason that I do that, it just makes it stick. The cool thing about these silicone mats too is your pieces will stick before you even iron them down, just because of the fusible when it meets up with that silicone. But I tack it with the tip of my iron. The reason I do that and not iron it all down is if I want to move a piece, I don't have to unstick it from the whole mat. I just have one little spot. So we start with that, and then we're going to just build this block as we go, you're going to see the lines underneath this mat, and it's just like putting together a puzzle. It is so easy. Now, we won't see the pieces on the inside here, but we'll, underneath the navy block, but we'll see them like this on the outside. And I'm just going to tack that. And you're going to see how quickly this block comes together, and we have done absolutely no piecing. Now that we have everything put together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my iron over this. Now, because this is an applique block and not a pieced block, when you peel this off, some of your pieces are going to stay there because they're not overlapped, but it's going to be really easy to put it together. And I'll show you how you do that in just a minute once we get everything ironed together. Now, on our black and white drawing, you're going to see some dashed lines, and those dashed lines indicate an overlap. And so when you're putting pieces down, you know that, ooh, there's an overlap or a dashed line right there. So that piece goes underneath. So let's start putting this little guy together. One thing that I like to recommend is to put together some of your inner pieces before you put together the entire critter. The reason you want to do that is because if you put your main piece down first, you're not going to see where any of the other pieces go. Whereas if I put together some of these inner pieces first and then peel them off, they're really easy to insert. I like to have the color photo close by so that I can kind of see for reference. Because when you're looking at some of these pieces, you're going to go, I'm not sure what this is. You can look at this color photo for reference. So we have our little toenails here, and I am going to put these little toenails down before I put the pads of their feet. If you put a piece down and it doesn't fit perfectly with the drawing underneath, then it's not the right piece. These are laser cut precision to go exactly with these drawings. And so as I'm going, I'm gonna put this in here. Remember to look at your little overlap, and I'm gonna tack these pieces as I put them on here. And I can see that I have my eyes where I want them. So I am going to place my iron on top of that so that I get that fusible activated in there, and those will stick together. I'm going to do the same with my little paws here. Now, before you peel these pieces off of your mat, you're going to want to let them cool. And the reason that you do that is when your fusible is warm and you peel it off, you could leave some of the fusible on the mat. So if you let that piece cool, your fusible is going to stay on the fabric, and that's where you want it. So we've got this cooled enough here. Now, I think if you can see here, it's shiny. That means that fusible is on the fabric, and that's what you want. So I'm going to set these aside. I'm going to take my little eyes off here. Okay, and now we're going to start putting together the elephant. A lot of times what we do when we laser cut these pieces is we'll laser cut the slits right into them for you. You'll see right here that we have little slits cut in for the eyes as well, and that just makes it easier for placement. So I'm going to put down the body. Last thing I have to do is to insert the eyes, and I'll do that before I iron the head down so I can lift that head up just a little bit. Now, I'm going to take a look at this before I run my iron over everything, because I want to make sure I have this completely in place where I want it. Reason being is once you iron all these pieces down, it's going to be really hard to pull them apart, because when you iron the fabric to fabric with the fusible, you don't get it apart very easily. So I'm gonna iron this completely down. So I've got this little guy all put together. I don't have the water spots on yet, or the water drops. I can put those on, and I'm actually just going to look at the photo and see where those pieces go. So once I get this completely ironed down and I have let it cool, I'm going to peel this off of my silicone mat. I'm going to remove the mat. And then let's just say, let's pretend I've got a light table sitting here. I would lay my finished drawing down on the light table, and I would lay this over the top of it. And your light is going to shine through, and it's going to show you where the additional lines need to be drawn in. Now, I'm just going to do this real quick. I have a water-soluble quilter's pen. So you can see it's got the purple on one end, which is disappearing, and it's got the blue on the other end, which you have to use water with. There's also some great pens that will iron away too, but this is one that I turn to a lot. And so I can see my lines underneath here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw those in, and then you're going to know that those are lines that need to be stitched. Once we get this all done, then this is the thing that's going to be a little bit different, and this is actually the quilt that we put together. And I'm doing this block right up here. Now, you're also going to see that not all of that elephant is going to show, and we're going to show you where you can cut that off for this applique if that's what you choose to do. I actually have the block pre-made. This is the little quilt block. And I want to show you how this applique works with the quilt block. Now I've got the quilt block put together. Now, when I peel this off, you're going to see that these stay here because the pieces did not overlap. But you're going to be able to put this together very, very easily. So we're going to remove this. We're going to lay this into the center, and your outer pieces are going to hit the tip of your border. Now we've got the block in place. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the elephant, and like I said, this little guy is bigger than what we actually need on this block. So we would show you where to cut that off. Or some people like these pieces to kind of go over. And so this guy could go over, but it would cover quite a bit of it. And so that's how you put together Our Greatest Gift block with the pieced quilt block behind it. The next applique that I'm going to put together is our little tabby hat on a cat. And I'm just going to show you how cute these appliques are and how fun and easy they are to put together. There again, we have a lot of pieces, so keep your scraps before you toss them away. And I've got mine all cut apart and ready to go. So right now I'm going to put together, his little eyes because I want to do the inner pieces first. A lot of times what you can do is stab a little piece and use it with the pin and then put it on. It's just a little bit easier. So I'm going to tack those with the tip of my iron. I know I have them where I want them, and so I'm going to run my iron over the entire thing with the eyes. Now like this one, this is the little hat band, and this I had to cut the star out of it, but that star is going to be used in the applique, so make sure you don't throw those away. You know what else I'm going to do is I am going to put together my firecrackers because those are underneath as well, and it's just going to be a little bit easier to put those guys together. There's actually a piece of twill tape that comes in this to make the little stems off the firecrackers. So I'm going to take my eyes off because those are cooled. And these guys I think are going to be cooled enough. I'm going to peel those off. I like to kind of put the cat together before I put the hat on, and it's a little tricky, and that's why I'm going to show you how you go about doing this. Now these are the little inner ears, and those are going to go down first because those are going to be underneath. You'll see your dashed line. And so I'm going to put that on there. Now, I look at this and, okay, where does this go? I'm going to look at my colored photo, and I'm going to see that that place goes underneath, this piece goes underneath the chin here. And so we're just going to slip this right underneath his chin. Now, this part up here is cool enough that I can kind of peel this back because this hat is going to go underneath this. I'm going to put this piece down first, and that's the main part of the top hat. And I'm going to put the hat band, and you'll see where it fits because it literally fits right, I'll get it down there, right in place. And I'm going to iron that together. This is the trickier part. These have slits in them, and you have to kind of work with it to see how they all go together. But as you can see on the picture, it's almost like you have to weave it up and through because the hat goes in through this slit and then each ear goes through here. So it literally looks like that hat is sitting on that cat's head. So I'm going to just tack this down right here, just the base part of it. I'm going to take my pieces through here. So I'm going to come through the bottom slit and then through the ear slit. I also have the muzzle that needs to go on there, and I see exactly where that goes. The muzzle is made out of batting. And it is the piece that's probably going to need just a little shot of steam to activate that fusible. One thing you could have done is we could have put the muzzle together with the little hair tuft, but I'm just going to tuck it underneath here. This is the hair tuft, and you can see where that goes. And then our eyes go right on top of that. The last piece that I have to put on is my nose. And I can see where that nose goes. Even though I can't see the placement, I can see where it goes by looking at my color photo. Oops, don't need the steam on. And I'm going to run it over the entire piece again. And as you can see, we have the entire applique completely put together. One other product that I love to use is a stabilizer that I want to show you here just a little bit. I've used a lot of stabilizers over the years. I've been doing machine applique for over 30 years. And the one thing that I did not like when I would use a stabilizer is how stiff it would make the project, especially if you were doing a wearable. And if you're doing a baby quilt and you put appliques on it, you don't want that baby quilt to be stiff. And so I started using a perforated stabilizer. I'm just going to pick it up. You're probably going to see that it has holes right in it. And the beautiful thing about this is when you put the applique onto whatever it is that you're going to iron it onto, then this stabilizer goes underneath that piece. Say this is a towel, then that stabilizer goes underneath that towel, directly under the applique, and then you pin it in place. It's kind of a felty-like almost, and so it will almost stick to your fabric, but I like to just pin it around, and then it'll stay in place. Stitch through those layers, and when you're done, rip off the excess around the outside edge. And I promise you, it does not make your project stiff. It's very soft. It's almost like a paper towel, you know, it's so soft. And because it's perforated, it rips very, very easily. So I know we've run over some things pretty quickly. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Caitlin and I are always here and ready to answer a question, or we're here to help. And we just want to say thanks for watching and happy sewing.